Hi, and welcome to Mark's Motivational Podcast, another Authors Tuesday. So we have authors all over the world like that join me on the show, which is brilliant. And I've got a brilliant author on the podcast, good friend of mine, Rich Hilton. So welcome along tonight, Rich. Thanks a lot for coming on.
Thank you very much, Mark, and thank you for the invite.
Cheers. No, it's great. I love your book, by the way. It's brilliant. Whispers Over the Wind, Windermere, lovely. So, would you like to? Can you give me some background about your poetry and where did the ideas come from about the book you've written? You know, the awesome book you've written.
Very good question to start off with. Where did my ideas come from? Back in, I think it was about October, November 2020, there was a course run by a charity called Future for Heroes.
Yeah.
And on this course, there's a gentleman called Peter Kirkpatrick, and he was reading out poetry during this course being run up there, up in the Lake District. And it was really useful kind of tool because all the metaphors and all that to help realign thinking or that kind of stuff from going through a bit of a difficult patch. And so he was inspiration for me to start writing again.
Great. Yeah.
Just because of a couple of things he said. I can't remember how long ago, during one of the courses that he was running, they had a group of engineers come up there. And so they took him through all these various little command tasks and all these other bits and bobs and confidence courses and things. And he said to them, so you've achieved all this now, what else could you do? And they really couldn't think of it. And so he said, right, what you do is write some poetry. And hence all these engineers, very logical, very reasoned people, then begin to express themselves in words. And that was very much, he said, as they were reading out, their colleagues were absolutely breaking down in tears with what the people actually come out and saying. So it's a bit of the thing for me to get things off my chest, put them down on pen and paper, which could ultimately, hopefully, help somebody else. So that's kind of why I wrote the book. And because listening, so on the final day of this weekend, it may sound a bit odd, but I had in the back of my head here I was woken up about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and I had to get all these words down on paper. Otherwise, I could have gone back to sleep. And so, for some reason, somehow, being up there listening to Peter, it kind of opened that portal, gateway, whatever you like to call it, to start writing again.
Brilliant. When you say writing again, have you always written yourself, Rich? Like, is something that you kind of took a break from for a while, it sounds like, or?
Yeah, I had written ages ago, probably not very good stuff. However, I think being in the forces, being in that kind of stuff, in that environment, it kind of stifled that creative aspect of myself.
No, that's great, because the book, the stories, the poetry in it is amazing. Like, I can't recommend enough for the listeners, for all the listeners to check it out, because where can people get the book, Rich? Where can people purchase it?
That's on Amazon.
Amazon, yeah, great. You self-published it, didn't you, Rich?
Yeah, self-published, mate.
Yeah. And how did you find that process yourself?
How did I find it? Yes, I had a lot of advice from various people. Like this one gentleman, he told me that he'd gone through self-publishing, self-publishers, and so he was given initial quotas like £3,000 to write his book and get that published. And then they turned around and said, "Oh, you've not done this, and you've not done that, you've not done that. So it'd be another 500 quid here, another 500 quid there, another £1,000."
Yeah.
And it all totaled up. So I think he said in the end, he spent about £6,000 on publishing his book. So I went through Fiverr and I just found some people there who I like the sound of and read the book from there, really, and got the editing and all that through Fiverr.
Yeah, because it's really well put together, Rich. Like I have a copy of it myself. I'm delighted to have, like, and it's, like it's kind of a good advertising for Fiverr, because for everything like that, isn't it? It's just really, really cool. Yeah, really good.
Is there any aspect you like about the book, Mark? Is there out of interest?
Yeah, I just love the I love the way they're nice and short and to the point. Each poem, like, there's some really good ones that can help you through your own life. It's stuff that triggers something. It could be like you'd have to read it, but there, you know what I'm saying. There's some certain ones. Would you mind maybe sharing one of the poems for the listeners, please? Rich,
I'll have to pause there, Mark, and then you have to edit this bit out, mate.
Yeah, I'll edit it out. Don't worry. Yeah. No, it's an absolutely brilliant book. Really, really good book.
So this one, Mark, is about the house up in Braithwaite. So this is where this old grey, really quite austere building is. And somebody said, one of the previous editors said, you need to make this a bit more mystical kind of title for the book. I just called it The House.
Yeah.
And it goes like this. What strange grounds are these? Those grey walls of mystery. What have you seen through your eyes? The austere facade and a welcoming hearth. The shimmering lights on a tranquil lake. You call and beckon me outside. I explore your trees and lake. I stand and I watch and wait. I pause my breath and see a dancing hare here, and a motionless heron there, and a fleeting glimpse of the deer. And I listen to the music of the birds and a breeze dancing with the leaves. What stories do you tell, and what truths are to be heard? And bring me deeper and deeper into your majesty. And show me great halls, and show me how to release my past and open my future, which path to take and which brook to cross, your grey walls of mystery.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Like, as well as the poetry, it's a lot of metaphors in that as well.
That's the whole point, Mark. Yeah,
really, really
just
cool.
hopefully it helped people open their eyes, and it's a poetry book, it's a self-help book, and hopefully people get a lot of value from it.
Yeah, no, it's really, really good. I can't recommend it enough. Like there's one, well, like I've got the book open in front of me here as well. Like there's one that I just stumbled across there, Feel Good. All about feeling good, like, and the laughter in it is brilliant, because as you know as well, by laughing is great medicine, and even
absolutely
in it, which is great, like, and I just want to say as well, like, I think the way you read them is brilliant as well, Rich. I think, have you ever thought of making audio for the poems? Or
that's something I can look at doing in the future. See what other projects I've got going on.
Yeah, because I don't know if a lot of people know this, like, it sound like Michael Caine here, and not a lot of people know that, but like, when like on the Kindle, the Google Doc can be a Kindle reader in itself.
Okay.
So if your people are reading it, you can actually have a voiceover version of the book. So that's something, a little bit of information there.
No, that's interesting. That's something that I'll look into.
Definitely. Yeah, it's good. But no, that's great. Thanks a lot for sharing that. That's absolutely brilliant, Rich. Brilliant, real treat for the listeners there. That's great. So as well as that, Rich, I might ask you as well, kind of what kept you motivated when you're writing that book? Because it's a motivational podcast. So, like, what
did keep me motivated was just feedback from other people going, you should get these published. They're really good. And also, it's to keep. What keeps me motivated in writing is just hearing words or phrases that people come out with and go, that, I really like that. And
Yeah.
how can I use that? How can I do something with those words and just develop something from there?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just goes, how can I play with these words? Because I don't know about yourself, Mark. I've always struggled with maths, and I've always found words easier myself.
Yeah.
I was diagnosed a few years ago, about 15 years ago, say, with dyscalculia.
Okay.
Yeah,
What is
so
that?
it's a mathematical version of dyscalculia, dyslexia. So with numbers, they're all back to front. Processing of numbers is quite difficult. So I always found words and writing a lot more easier to process than that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, well, because that's really fascinating. Like, because years ago when we went to school, there was no words for what we had. Like, you were just
No, there wasn't. You're just a thick bastard, and that's it.
exactly, yeah. I added that bit out.
Yeah. Well, no, just being honest, you
No,
were a
it's
kid.
yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
know. See, but everybody learns different and they have their own talents, so that's great. And like, when you used to write before you've written this book, back when you used to write, how did you find you had that talent for writing?
Um, I think it's something I've always quite enjoyed. I've always
Yeah.
enjoyed reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that corresponds one with the other.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah.
big time. Yeah. And how long did it take you to write the book, Rich? Did it?
Because I didn't do consistently, I would guess about 18 months in total, Mark.
Very good. Yeah. Was it through the pandemic or?
No. In fact, yeah, it would have been. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, because a lot of people found that, like, you could spend more time and stuff you enjoy. Because did you find that yourself? Like,
No, I was, because the job I was doing previously, I was actually working through the pandemic.
oh, okay, yeah, lucky
Yeah,
enough,
yeah.
yeah.
So no rest for the wicked, eh?
No, 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 that's great. No, who would you say is your favorite authors or favorite books to read yourself?
There's quite a few. I used to love reading was a guy called Acton Sachs,
Okay.
and he used to write these kids detective books, and they were really quite fascinating.
Mm.
In fact, no, it was Acton Sachs here is the detective books. I can't remember who the author was now. There was like some Tintin when I was growing up and
Yeah,
all those
yeah.
sort of stuff.
Mm.
Richard Adams, I think it was, who's the author of Watership Down. Now that's quite a disturbing book.
I remember that.
Good,
Yeah.
but quite disturbing, yeah. And
Yeah.
Douglas Adams as well,
Mm.
if you read any of his stuff. And then more recently was the likes of the Sharp series and books like that as well. Those
Great,
kind of things.
great. And I was suppose what kind of inspired you? What was there any writers you could say that inspired you to write yourself?
I would like to think, what's his name? Spike Milligan.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. Yeah, he's yeah, he's a good great author alright as well. Yeah, definitely I can
Yeah,
help
just
from
absolutely
there.
complete, yeah,
Yeah,
complete genius.
brilliant. Yeah,
Yeah.
brilliant. Yeah, no, that's great. And I was gonna say to you as well, i- if you could kind of give people advice that are authors, to keep like what would you give them if you give them a bit of advice on their writing? Just say, do you have a kind of a schedule you follow, like a certain amount of words a day, or what kind of advice would you give from what you've done?
Just write.
Yeah.
Just get a pen on paper, or how I think it's me personally. I like to write on paper first
Mm,
and then type it all up because you use different processes of the brain.
yeah.
And what advice? Yeah, just keep plodding away. Give yourself maybe 25 minutes.
Mm,
That's really good sort of structure. 25 minutes to write something down. And
yeah.
if you don't write something, just hold a pen and paper there and just scribble on a notepad or something and go, right, yeah, I've done that bit for the day. And
Mm,
go, yeah, I've done really good there. That's awesome. Good job. All right, I can maybe get something down, but I'll come back to that, say an hour later, and then I'll write again, or however it works out for that individual.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, no, that's great advice, Rich. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
Do you have schedule it yourself somehow, Mark, as well? How you write out of interest?
Well, it's funny you should ask that, because when you were saying that earlier on, like when you woke up in the middle of the night and said you had to write that down,
Yeah.
by people I've spoke to on the podcast before, and even myself, I'd even put it on the phone. Just say, if something, an idea comes during the day, just kind of put it on your voice recorder on the phone.
Mhm.
Is a good thing. That's what I find. And then, as well as that, I'd probably schedule a certain amount of words, morning pages. I think you share that with me as well, don't you? Doing the
Oh
morning
yeah, yeah,
pages.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, the morning pages. Yeah.
yeah, because you're getting like the stuff that can come out of that is great. The
Mhm.
stories come out of that.
And there's that thing we were about. What's it called now? Automatic writing.
Right.
So I believe it's depending on the individual. Obviously, it could be quite a long process of just getting yourself in a trance and teaching yourself how to write automatically in an even deeper state that could be even more beneficial and more creative for someone.
Wow. Yeah. And have you something they've used in the past, Rich? Have you?
Well, I've not used
What?
it personally. I've just heard people talking about it, so
Hmm,
it could be useful tool for some people. Yeah.
that's brilliant. Yeah. Wow. Because certain people kind of write and listen to music at the same time,
Mhm.
not like with words, but just like even classical music, kind of. I find that helps. Did you ever try that yourself?
Definitely. And if not, yeah, it's been shown, especially Baroque music, to open up the synapses, I do believe,
Yeah, yeah. All
and
right,
help
yeah.
people be more creative. And
Mm.
I think what's also quite good is listening to music in a completely, or listen to singing in a completely different language,
Right. Wow.
because that can go, wow, what's going on there? I really, you have to find a language you really enjoy listening to.
Mm.
And that can send off triggering, oh, what are they singing about? And you could just make up a story about that, even though it could be completely different about what that person's
Mm.
singing about, and create a story from that, from your own imagination.
Geez, that's great. Yeah, that's brilliant, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah, I never heard of that before. Because yeah, because it could be you have a favor of Italian language or whatever the case may be. Yeah, yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, great
Yeah.
idea. Yeah, and would you mind maybe, Rich, if you could maybe share one more of your stories with me, if you don't mind,
Yep, I certainly will, Mark.
just give the listeners a bit of a taste before they buy it.
Yeah. And do you want a sad one or
I'd like that funny one there, the laugh
no?
one.
We'll sing that. No.
I'm joking.
I'll do this one just quite. Yeah. This one, Mark, and I don't know where I got the idea from. It's called Winds and Tides.
Oh, this is a good one. I like this one.
Winds and tides they come. The winds and tides they come. Slowly and gently at first. The soft wind, she caresses my face. The tide laps at the shore, and a little foam to tickle my toes. A gentle, cooling breeze. A tide gliding across the honey yellow sand. A rhythmic flow of gentle breeze. A risen tide back to the shallow seas, and a storm picks up far out to sea. The wind increases its speed to me. Waves grow higher, reaching further into shore. Sand whipped up, abrasive to my face. Waves become foam white. Watch and behold this powerful scene. I stand and watch the ebb and flow. This violent storm she passes by. Quiet returns. And a gentle breeze, she soothes my face. And the tide laps the shore.
Wow, that's brilliant.
I
Brilliant.
can see you almost going into trance there, Mark.
Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. It's great, great. Yeah, no, geez, I definitely I like listen to how you tell the stories. I definitely look at some kind of audio format. I think would
Yeah, yeah,
go
yeah.
down really well. I'm sure the
Cool.
listener would agree there. Yeah, big time.
Yeah, appreciate that, Mark. Yeah, thanks for that feedback.
No, it's really really good. Yeah, so yeah, no, this is great, Rich. I really appreciate you coming on. And what's the name of the book again, for everybody to buy it?
It's on Amazon and it's called Whispers Over Windermere.
When yeah, and as well as that, a lot of the proceeds are going to charity, isn't that right?
Yeah, yeah, a couple of charities. As I say, there's two charities, Future for Heroes, and the other one is Woodland Experiences.
Well done. That's great.
Yeah. And I'm also very fortunate as well to have had my young goddaughter, Scarlett, to do the artwork in there as well.
Oh, that's great. The artwork is brilliant.
Yeah,
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 well done.
yeah, she's an amazing little artist. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's funny because my daughter done the artwork for the front cover of my book as well. So
That's awesome.
it's great to have their imprint on the book as well, isn't it?
Definitely, mate. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. That's great. Yeah. Yeah, no, fair play to you for doing that for the charity because a lot of work goes into writing a book. A lot of hours go into putting it together. I know it's it's not really a job if you're enjoying it, and what you're producing is brilliant, like excellent. Yeah, so like
Yeah, yeah.
that's and have you anything else in the pipelines regarding books? When's the next book going to come out?
Oh, I'm in the process of writing that, Mark.
Oh, cool, cool.
Yeah.
And
So
is it gonna be along the same lines of poetry or?
hopefully it might be a bit lighter than this one I've written. There is some quite dark stuff in there, just for people to be warned. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But there's a lot of good message in it as well.
Yeah, there is. It's hopefully people will take a leaf out of it for a bit of inspiration and hope, and
yeah,
yeah, and they can turn their lives around from where they were to where they can be.
oh, big time. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, great. Because and what is the next book going to be about? Like, what have you have you started it or?
Oh, I've started it, mate. There's no central theme running through it. It's just thoughts and
Okay.
stuff I'm getting from my mind and putting it down on paper.
Yeah, no, the best of luck with it. No, brilliant.
Yeah,
Because
cool.
yeah, as well as that, like the area of self help and self improvement. What's your favorite books in that area that you've come across?
There's quite a few.
Yeah.
The chimp paradox is pretty useful. If you
Okay.
come the chimp paradox, have you ever come across that?
I haven't. No. No.
No. So I can't remember what his name is now. Yeah. Anyway, he what he says is you got your chimp brain, the human brain, and then got the computer.
Yeah.
And the chimp brain is the emotional side of it, and it's 20 times stronger than what the human brain is, or the rational brain.
Mm.
And so you can't overpower that. You can't keep that suppressed. You've got to let the chimp come out every once in a while. Then you got the super thing that got the supercomputer, which again is like 20 times the processing speed of the rational brain. And you can't stop that from functioning again. That's got to process at that speed. So somehow, somewhere, you've got to look at reconciling all these three as well as you can. I really don't have. It's a little while since I've read it.
Yeah.
But that's like kind of my real brief synopsis of it.
Yeah. No, that sounds great. Yeah. Yeah. As well as sharing your own book, I can put in the show notes for people to pick it up. It sounds great. Sounds really good.
That's awesome. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah. No, great. Because there's so much great books out there. Like there's Kate Benson and Richard Bandler, Teaching Excellence. That's an amazing book as well. It kind of ties in well what we're talking about earlier on about a kind of a mindset when you're in school to think you weren't good enough for certain subjects, doesn't it? Really.
Definitely. And I was listening to a couple of TED Talks about this today. Excuse me. And this lady was saying it starts from about 6 years, when you're about somewhere around 6 years old, give or take a couple of years, depending on your parents and all that.
Yeah.
And if somebody didn't do something at that age,
yeah,
they wouldn't get the love back from the parents. So all the conditions. So then people had to have a condition for love to be involved in that family unit. And so that's what people are looking for, instead of trying to unconditionally love themselves in the first place, what they can start doing now, and not get it externally from validation of other people.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's great. Yeah, no, that's really good, because there's so much great takeaways in that book, really, isn't there? It's like there was one particular thing where the spelling technique, that she for helping your own kids, my own kids, with the spelling technique was great. The one where she gets you to get them to focus on the word and make a picture. It's like modalities, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what we do, is we make all the movies and all the scenes are created in our own mind.
Yeah.
And we need to be, as best as we can, a champion of them, because we're the only ones who have those thoughts. And we do get all the external influences from our peers, from maybe our parents, from school teachers, from whomever it is around us, and they may be telling, oh, you're shit at something, or that wasn't very good at what you did, even though it was the best of your ability and you put as much effort in as you could. And it's for you then to go, okay, do these people know what they're talking about? No, they don't. And it's to look at how you can turn around and say, yeah, they may have a valid point, and in their opinion, they are possibly correct. I know what I did at that time and that point was the best thing that I could actually do.
Yeah.
And that's the only validation you need, is if you felt really good, say in your chest, somewhere in your heart, knowing that you have done the best job you can. Who can ask for more?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. That's brilliant. Yeah. Absolutely. You can only do what you can do, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, Mark. Yeah. And people berate you, yeah. And again, I think that comes with age and experience, is to go, well, balls to you then.
Yeah.
Who are you? Who are you to me? Nobody.
Exactly. Yeah. No, great point. Great point, Rich. And as well as that, do you have any favorite music you like to listen to?
All sorts, Mark. All sorts. Depends what I'm doing. So I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Oh, good stuff. Yeah, like
You got any good tracks?
Say again.
You got any good tracks that you've been singing, or?
Oh, well, yeah.
You play at the international every now and again, don't you?
I do, yeah. Down, yeah. Yeah, but yeah. Well, I'm always putting a few out there,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually how I started this podcast, to put my music. I started off with Mark's music podcast back, geez, Genie, about 2 years ago. So like that way, and then it's funny. It's like everything. It's like you said earlier on. Something triggered you to start writing again.
Yeah.
And it's like you start something like a podcast for music, and then you're doing other stuff, and you're writing a book, and that way you get to meet so many different authors, from all walks of life, really, don't you?
Yeah, I'm sure you've met quite a few. Where in the world have you met people from, or talked to people?
All over, from Boston, New York.
Oh, fantastic.
People from, I had a guy from Africa on and all one time.
Cool.
Yeah. And I was saying to him, it was very funny. I said to him, on a side note, I said, our times must be all over the place. When are we going to do this podcast? And it turned out wherever he was living was the same as our time. So it was great, Like, I couldn't believe it was just the same time zone, which worked out great,
Yeah, it's depending on where you live, it's only a couple of hours different in Africa than it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like geography isn't my strong point, but
clearly not.
Yeah. But no, it's been absolutely pleasure having you on, Rich, and once again, I wish you all the success with your book and all you're doing, like, because we're doing a lot.
We are, mate. We are.
Yeah. But watch the spaces, as I say. But is there anything I haven't asked you really on the podcast, which you'd like to share with the listeners?
No, but I'm going to ask you, Mark. When's your next book coming out? And the adventures of Larry Lamppost and all that, and his cohort.
Yeah. But I haven't written it all. It's just, I'm in the same scenario as you at the moment. I have to get in touch with Fiverr and try and get them to do the editing, because it just shows you how you help each other out, because I don't want to spend a big money this time. I'd like to see if I can get a bit cheaper with Fiverr, so
yeah.
good to, because like there's certain things by you said tonight it's going to trigger a lot of people for it to be doing, especially the one with the languages. I think that's a brilliant point that you've made there. You listen to different languages where you can change make stories out, which is brilliant. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. But no, I do have getting back to your question. Yeah, I do have the second book written, and so it's just waiting to be tidied up.
Yeah, what I did hear off someone is, if you are writing, when you do write your book, is not to reveal the title or what it's about. Okay. Because people then, and this gentleman, he had it happen to him on several occasions. He's told people the titles of his books. He had them stolen, or he had people using those titles and ripping his books off, basically what he was going to write and publish.
Yeah. You have to be thinking of that as well. Yeah, that's a great.
Yeah, unfortunately, people are assholes out there.
Yeah. No, that's great. Thanks very much for that, Rich. Because I wouldn't have even thought that. Because the way, if you're excited about writing a book or you have ideas, you want to share it with people. They say, "Oh, this is what I'm doing." So you have to bear that in mind. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Keep it to a trusted few people, Mark.
Yeah, great stuff. Yeah, but no, thanks very much, Rich, for coming on, and I'm sure we'll be doing it again soon. I'm sure we have our own podcast started as well. We'll mention that again on the podcast. But so thanks a million again, everybody, for listening to this podcast, Mark's motivational podcast, Authors Tuesday, authors all over the world, and we have Rich Hilton tonight from Bristol, which was great, and it was great to hear your poetry as well, that you shared tonight with us, which was brilliant as well.
Yeah, well, again, thank you very much, Mark, for having me on, and I wish you all the best success with your books and all your endeavors that you're doing.
Brilliant. Thanks very much. Okay, so tune in next time for another podcast and another maybe a motivational Thursday next Thursday. So till then, take good care of yourselves. Thanks, Rich.
Thanks, Mark. Cheerio. Bye-bye.
Take care. Thank you. Thanks a million for tuning in to today's podcast, Mark's motivational podcast. So I just want to advertise my new book. It's called Adventures of Larry Lamppost and Friends. It's a book I wrote for my own children, bedtime stories, collection of bedtime stories, and to some really funny characters in it that my kids love, so I'm sure your children will like as well. There's Larry Lamppost, there's Mr. Shopper, there's to name but a few. So I'd really appreciate it if you could buy this book, and it's available on Amazon, and if you want our book depository, so it's on Amazon UK and various Amazon sites throughout the world. So I really appreciate it. Then if you're in Ireland and you want to buy it off me, just contact me by email. It's marklestrange11@hotmail.com. That's MarkLestrange11@hotmail.com. So thanks a million, folks, for your continued support on the podcast. Really appreciate it. So listen, have a great week. And thanks for tuning in. Take care.